Here comes Daredevil, the man without fear. Marvel's newest sensation is trapped by the Owl, overlord of crime. Daredevil battles the Owl, ominous overlord of crime. A movie-length action thriller presented with pride by the mighty Marvel Comics group. Written with raw realism by Stan Lee. Illustrated with daring drama by Joe Orlando. Inked with actual artistry by Vince Colletta. Lettered with perfect precision by S. Rosen. This is Wall Street, heart of New York's financial district, where fortunes are made and lost by the world's greatest financial wizards. And within the canyons of this street, we are about to find one certain man. A merciless man. A man with no friends, no loved ones, nothing to connect him with the human race, save the fact of his birth. Let us follow this man. Let us study him as he walks into a towering office building, his heavy footsteps reverberating through the huge marble lobby. For we shall see much of this man on the pages that follow. He walks slowly, but with a sure, steady tread, looking neither to the right nor the left, ignoring those he passes and those who pass him. But he himself cannot readily be ignored by others. His very presence seems so fraught with evil, with menace, that his fellow humans shrink back from the mere sight of him. There are some who recognize him, who speak his name in whispers, for his wealth is said to be legendary, and his power almost beyond measure. But there is another with equal power who sits daringly perched on a rooftop across the street, his incredibly sharp senses waiting for the slightest call for help, which will instantly bring Daredevil into action. Everything is quiet below. The city is at peace. I am not yet needed. But fate is shaping events in such a way that Daredevil soon will be needed, and all because of the man we have been following. The man whose legal name is long since forgotten, for he is known to the world at large only as the Owl, the most ruthless financial wizard of all time. Arrogantly, he enters his palatial offices as a timorous female voice informs him. "You have a caller, sir. Mr. Gray is waiting in the conference room." Gray? That spineless milksop. What can he want? I hired him as my accountant, so that he would take the blame if ever my illegal business dealings were exposed. Can he finally have wised up? Conference room. Owl, I need your help. The income tax people are accusing me of fraud. Because of you. But I'm innocent. You know that. Of course I know it, you fool. I framed you. You framed me? But I've made my fortune by crooked business deals and dodging taxes. But I knew the law would catch up with me. That's why I needed a fall guy. I've carefully arranged my affairs so that you will get the blame for what I've done. And now, get out. After all, a successful businessman like the Owl cannot afford to associate with a man who will soon be a jailbird. Slowly, the pale, haggard man rises from the table. Silently, he turns and shuffles out of the room, without a backward glance. His world has crashed down around his ears, because he had been willing to work for a scoundrel, because he had been willing to shut his eyes to the illegal things he had seen. He now must pay the price. Scant minutes later, the unbelievably keen ears of Daredevil hear the sound of a faint impact below, followed by the piercing wail of a siren, as he leaps into spellbinding action. A siren spells trouble, and that means Daredevil may be needed. Whee! Although his eyes are sightless, for he has been blind since the age of 15, Daredevil's other senses are so sharp, so unfailing, that he can perform breathtaking feats which even a sighted person cannot match. Luckily, my built-in radar sense tells me how far I am from a solid obstacle, so I always know when to dodge and when to grasp. Look! Here comes Daredevil! You're too late this time. Even you can't help that poor man. His senses tell him that a human form is lying in front of him, but he hears no pulse, no heartbeat, and he instantly realizes, this man is dead. How did it happen? He walked right in front of a speeding car, as though he didn't care. I recognize him. It's George Gray. He's under indictment for fraud. He works for the Owl. The Owl. I've heard of him. A few minutes later. Let's go, Owl. They want to ask you some questions at headquarters concerning George Gray. You may bring a lawyer if you wish. I don't need a lawyer, and you know it. You've got nothing on me. I had nothing to do with Gray's death. We know, Owl, but we found some papers linking you with some fraudulent business dealings. We've always known you were crooked, Owl, but we had no proof. Till now. At last, we're going to be able to pull your financial empire down around your ears. But upon reaching headquarters, Owl, with the evidence we're unearthing about you, I suggest you do get yourself a lawyer. All right, I will. But only to prove how flimsy your case is. I won't even use an expensive, high-powered lawyer. I'll pick out any name at random, and I'll still be out of here within the hour. Get me a phone book. Opening the classified directory, the Owl carelessly points to the first name that catches his eye. Here, I'll hire this firm. Nelson and Murdoch. And seconds later, a colorful costumed figure daringly swings in through a back window of that very same law firm as his partner, Franklin Foggy Nelson, is concluding a phone call. Sorry, Owl. I'm not interested in representing anyone with your reputation, and I don't think my partner would be either. Foggy's talking to the Owl. Changing clothes with dazzling speed, Daredevil returns to his normal identity of Matt Murdock, blind attorney, as he manages to grasp the phone before his startled partner can hang up. Oh, Mr. Murdoch must have come in through the back door. Say, what's the rush, Matthew, old pal? I don't believe in turning down any cases, Foggy. I'll handle this one if you don't want to. Hello, Owl? I'll be in court in 10 minutes. Brimming with excitement, Matt Murdock leaves the office, changing back to Daredevil as soon as he is safely out of sight. And then, rolling his wrinkle-proof suit into a tight ball, he races toward his goal at breakneck speed. I've been anxious to learn more about the mysterious Owl, and this is the chance of a lifetime. I've tried to explain to Foggy that every man is entitled to a lawyer. If we attorneys refuse to help accused people because we think they're guilty, then we're judging them without trial. Besides, the Owl intrigues me. I want to learn more about him. Ah, I hear the courthouse bell chiming. It's time for me to change back to Matt Murdock and call upon my new client. Reaching the court, it isn't long before the young attorney sets the legal wheels in motion. Very well, counselor. I will free your client on a right of habeas corpus, but he is to report to this court tomorrow morning at 10 for further disposition. Thank you, Sergeant. And now, if I may meet my client. He's right over here, Mr. Murdoch. Turning slowly, Matt Murdock involuntarily recoils in shock as an aura of unmistakable villainy seems to surround his razor-sharp senses. I am the Owl. It's incredible. I can tell by the sound of his heartbeat, his pulse rate, his labored breathing. The man is charged with sheer animal power. with almost limitless energy, all of it directed into evil channels. Although denied the use of his eyes by a cruel quirk of circumstance, the sightless lawyer is able to conjure up perhaps a truer vision of the man who faces him by means of his extraordinary other senses. His deep voice tells me he's large, gross, with a barrel chest. His footsteps reveal his height and weight. Well, have you nothing to say? Sorry, I was, thinking. You're to return here tomorrow morning at 10. Of course. I'll see you then. Goodbye. He doesn't realize I can hear his pulse. It's like having a built-in lie detector. His pulse rate speeded up unnaturally. He has no intention of being here tomorrow. I can hear him cackling to himself as he leaves. But it doesn't matter. He isn't getting away with anything. Now that I've formed a mental image of him, I'll be able to find him again. Anywhere. The next morning, at 10 o'clock, as Matt Murdock appears in court. Your client has not shown up, counselor. I shall issue a summons for his immediate arrest. That is all. Very well, Your Honor. What does the owl expect to gain by this? He must know we'll be found sooner or later. Later, as the man without fear returns to his office. I have a feeling that it will soon be time for Daredevil to go into action again, and I've just thought of a way to improve the efficiency of my costume. I'm going to design a hood for my shoulders. Then I'll be able to fold my street clothes and conceal them under it, so they'll always be handy. And upon joining Karen and Foggy again. I'm going to take Karen bowling tonight, Matt. How about joining us? No thanks, Foggy. I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to appreciate it. A spare and a near strike sound about the same to me. Poor Matt. My heart goes out to him for his handicap. If only I could take him in my arms. Anyone looking into Matt Murdock's apartment that night would see the incredible sight of a man threading a needle and sewing in the dark. It's amazing how my other senses can compensate for my lack of sight. My sense of touch is so acute that this is child's play for me. There. It seems to fit perfectly, and I can close it easily by using one of those new contact-type zippers. Now to see if all my outer clothes will fit. And fit they do. Again guided by his uncanny sense of touch, the sightless adventurer is able to contain a complete change of clothes within his cleverly designed new shoulder pouch. Minutes later, we find the dazzling Daredevil traveling at breakneck speed through the great city's maze of dark, twisting, underground tunnels. I've covered every important artery. Wherever the owl is hiding, it isn't below the surface. Next, the man without fear takes to the air. I'll cover the bridges leading out of the city. If he's crossed any of them, the scent of his unusual hair tonic should still be detectable to me. And as the long evening hours crawl by, this is my final stop. No trace of the owl having passed through any bridge or train station. That can only mean two things. Either he's still somewhere in the city, in which case, I'll pick up his trail sooner or later, or else he left by boat. If he did, there are too many small craft for me to investigate them all. This should teach me not to become too overconfident. I was so sure I could find him easily whenever I wanted to. But it seems that even a man with super keen senses isn't infallible. Meantime, where is the mysterious owl? Although he doesn't yet know it, Daredevil's second guess was the correct one. For across the Hudson, perched high above the Palisades cliffs, is one of the strangest residences in the nation. It is the Owl's Eyrie, looking like nothing more than a jagged part of the scenery when viewed from the river. This complex structure seems to exude the same air of menace as the man who inhabits it. Ah, My alarm bell! That means the two guests I invited have arrived. I must go to welcome them. Seating himself upon a chair which resembles some fantastic version of an owlish throne, the millionaire fugitive watches two cold-eyed men slowly enter. So, Sad Sam Sims and Ape Horgan, I have heard that you are two of the underworld's most dangerous men. We shall see if you are dangerous enough to serve the Owl. You used to pretend to be legit until now, Owl. You always worked alone. What happened? I made a careless mistake. Now there is no further need for pretense. The world now knows I am a criminal. So I have planned a new career for myself. But first, I must test you. They say you are the best gunman in the East, Sad Sam. We shall now fight a duel and see. Don't be alarmed. These are merely wax bullets. Moving with unexpected speed for one so large, the uncanny owl actually draws his gun first, but before his finger can squeeze the trigger, the man known as Sad Sam recovers from his surprise, and then moves with lightning-like precision. Excellent! Excellent! You actually hit the muzzle of my own gun, preventing me from firing. You are just the man I want. And now, Ape, are you ready for your test? Sure. I'm strong enough to do anything. I ain't worried. The owl accepts no one at face value. If you claim to be as strong as an ape, I shall make you prove it. Enter this cage, if you dare. How about that? A real live playmate for me, eh? Okay, just wait till I get out of these duds. Minutes later, the man known as Ape hurls himself into battle against a snarling, savage beast within the heavily barred cage, and as the owl and his new gunman watch in amazement. This overgrown chimp may be as strong as I am, but he don't know the wrestling holds I know. What should I do with him now? This is getting boring. Release him. You've proved your point. With a marksman like Sad Sam working for me, and a powerful brute like you, I'll be the undisputed overlord of crime. And now, I shall demonstrate my own power, to make sure you never dare think you can double-cross your master. If you ask me, he's some kind of nut. Shut up, till we know more about him. Stand where you are. Good. Now listen closely. I have managed to save a fortune over the years, money which I've spent to increase my powers. That is why I'm ready to come out into the open at last, to battle the forces of law and order. But what powers are you talking about? You shall see for yourself within seconds. Not for nothing do I call myself the Owl. Not merely because I bear a slight physical resemblance to the nocturnal bird of prey, which you see perched upon my shoulder. No, there is another reason. And now, you shall learn what it is. All I need do is press this control button. We were standing on a trap door! He's trying to kill us! We're falling! Help! Then, as the two startled criminals plunge downward, a loud, cackling, spine-chilling laugh follows them down, and down, and down. Ha 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 ha! And then, the owl rushes outside, shouting, "Don't panic! The air currents will slow your descent long enough for me to save you." Save us? How? Not bothering to answer, the uncanny master criminal hurls himself off the top of the cliff, towards the two falling men. This is the power I mentioned. The power to glide with the air currents, to drift and swoop, and plunge, like the bird which is my namesake. Aided by the ingenious cut of his cape-like garment, the owl is able to plummet downward faster than the others, catching them before they reach the swirling river. And then, soaring with the air currents, taking advantage of them like a bird of prey, he glides upwards again, until... See to it that you never forget this little lesson, my friends. No matter how powerful you are, the owl is your master. Okay. You sure proved your point. What do we do next? Now we cross the river and return to the heart of the city. We have a little visit to pay. Before beginning my crime career in earnest, I need one more thing. A mouthpiece. A lawyer who is weak enough and gullible enough so that he will act as a front for me. And I know just the man. The blind Matthew Murdoch. He's young, inexperienced, helpless. We'll use him as a go-between. The police would never suspect him. Meanwhile, what of that helpless lawyer whom the owl is seeking? Let us join him once again in the law offices of Nelson and Murdoch. What's wrong, Matt? You've been looking downhearted all day. Anything worrying you, partner? I think you've been working too hard, Mr. Murdoch. Perhaps if you... No, I'm okay. Forget it. I can't very well tell them how disturbed I am that I let the owl get away from me. I feel like a fool. Mr. Murdoch, I know you don't like me to mention this, but I can't stop wishing you'd change your mind about not wanting an eye operation. If there's a chance of your regaining your sight, isn't it worth taking? I know you mean well, Karen, and I appreciate it, but I've learned to live with my affliction. Perhaps we can discuss this some other time. Right now, it's past quitting time, so you just run along. There's nothing for you to worry about. Very well. I realize I had no right to offer you personal advice. I'm sorry if I spoke out of turn. It won't happen again. If only I could forget him. Why do I torture myself so? I mean less than nothing to him. Her pulse rate is always speeding up when she's near me. I can hear it. I wonder... No, it's impossible. How could she ever be interested in me? And yet... Wait. That odor. The scent of a bird. An owl. Coming from the other side of the wall. But that office is vacant. Can't take any chances. I hate to lie, but I've got to get Foggy out of here, so I can change. Didn't you hear Karen's tone of voice when she left Foggy? Even I could tell she was disappointed because you didn't offer to walk her home. Really, Matt? Gosh, I'll go right after her. Maybe I can still catch her. You're a real pal. And no sooner does Matt Murdoch hear the door close in the anteroom. Then. And now, exit Matt Murdoch, attorney at law. Because here comes Daredevil. As sure-footed as a puma, as silent as a leopard, as fearless as a tiger, the masked adventurer steps out upon the narrow ledge which encircles the upper floors of his office building. And then, every sense keyed to its highest pitch, he inches towards the adjoining office window. The muffled whispers from the next office are like roaring shouts to me. There are 3 men in there, and one is, without any doubt, the owl. The heartbeats are slightly to my right, about 5 feet away. Judging by the depth and pitch of the breathing, the men with the owl are opposites. One tall and thin, the other short and husky. It's Daredevil! I don't know what he's doing here, but you want me to take care of him, Owl? Let me do it, boss. I haven't had any practice for a while. They call him boss, so they're in his employ. But what are they doing here, next door to Matt Murdoch? He's up for grabs, boys. You can both have him. No corny masked acrobat is going to stop the owl from getting himself a lawyer. So that's it. He's here to try to make Matt Murdock his lawyer. You back me up, Sad Sam. I'll tackle him first. Okay, go ahead. A guy who can beat a gorilla with his bare hands won't have any trouble with one costumed clown. That's what you think, fella. I'm a lot harder to catch than any of your gorilla friends. Hey, how'd you get there so fast? Just lucky, I guess. Now take a deep breath. You're going for a little ride. Ah! Since losing my sight, my sense of balance is so acute that I could do this all day without dropping him. But there must be better ways to spend a day. I'll wait till he's positioned on line with where I hear the other two breathing, and then I'll let him go. Now! Look out! You clumsy fools! A split second later, the faint click of a trigger being cocked sounds like a loud explosion to the hypersensitive ears of Daredevil. Uh-oh. A shot is about to be fired. I've got to calculate the angle and distance just from the sound of that click. Then, quickly drawing his unique Billy Club cane weapon, Daredevil makes a lightning move backwards, out of the intended line of fire, while he performs a dazzling feat of actually batting the bullet away from him. Huh? It's uncanny. His reflexes are lightning swift. But sensational though he is, the man without fear cannot anticipate everything, and so it is that the events of the next few seconds are about to turn his near victory into one of his most bitter defeats. For at that very moment, Karen Page enters the scene. I left my purse on my desk. It's lucky I remembered. Oh, a fight in the office next door. What's going on? A girl! Karen's voice. I've got to get her out of here. Karen, run! Don't waste a minute, before they get you. Run! But the bewildered girl, transfixed by shock and uncertainty, stands rooted to the spot, until the quick-thinking owl reaches out, and... I don't know who she is, Daredevil, but I can sense the concern in your voice. So surrender to me, immediately. Or else. Good work, boss. Let me down! No! Don't! Help! And then, realizing the grave danger the innocent girl is in, Daredevil's voice grimly utters the two words he had never expected to say, while a spark of life remained within him. I surrender. And once more, the mad, spine-chilling chortle of the owl fills a room with demonic menace. Daredevil, you knew my name. How? Where did we... No time for that now. I'll explain later. I've gotta be more careful. I forgot that Daredevil isn't supposed to know Karen Page. I almost gave myself away. I'll use your own blasted billy club to keep these ropes tight, wise guy. Later, back at the aviary of the owl. I'm in some sort of large cage. Judging by the slight air movement above me, it's dangling exactly 8.5 feet from the ceiling, and from the sound of the owl's voice, it's 10 feet from the floor. Estimating the time it takes an echo to bounce back from the walls, it's a huge room, roughly 325 feet in diameter. That tells me all I need to know. For now. I hope my two guests will be comfortable. If there's anything you need, just ring for room service. Without another word, the ominous owl turns on his heel and leaves the large chamber. Moments later, we find him on his perch, overlooking the Hudson, as he plans his next sinister moves. Once the underworld learns that I have captured the fearless Daredevil, no other criminal would dare to dispute my leadership. Soon, everyone will acknowledge me as the overlord of crime. And then, the owl returns to his two waiting henchmen. I want you to contact every top gangster and mob leader in the city. Tell them that their new overlord, the owl, is going to deliver Daredevil to them. That will prove my power. Go at once. But what if they won't come, boss? You brainless fool! You are never to question the owl's orders. When they hear that I have captured Daredevil, nothing will keep them away. Now go! With those scathing words, the owl again departs, as the man without fear thinks quickly. So, he intends to hand me over to the underworld, in order to become their chief. I'm not worried about myself, no matter what the odds, but I can't let any harm come to Karen. I've got to set her free, somehow. Then, the masked swashbuckler once again executes a feat of amazing muscle control, as he flexes his muscles in such a way that he exerts just the right amount of pressure to snap the center catch on his billy club weapon. Concealed hinge. Whatever I do must be done now, while his two muscle men are gone. Then, once the pressure has been slackened, it's a simple matter for the superbly trained Daredevil to snap the now loosened cords. It's lucky that he didn't suspect my cane weapon is hinged in the center. I always knew this thin, flexible cotter pin would come in handy someday. I've got to remove it carefully. Carefully. Mustn't drop it. Ah, there. Though his eyes are sightless, Daredevil's hypersensitive fingers quickly feel the perimeter of the cage until they reach a small keyhole. Then, with the unerring precision of a trained locksmith, he manipulates the pin until... I did it! It's open. Leaving his cage with one effortless, silent swing, the fearless crime fighter really begins to hit his stride. Don't worry, Karen. I'll have you out of there in seconds. The sound of her breathing, coupled with her heartbeat, tell me where she is, just as unerringly as a radar signal guides a pilot in the thickest fog. The floor is wired. If you step on it, you'll set off an alarm. That was careless of me. I should have thought to check for booby traps, but I can still overcome that obstacle. Thanks, Karen. And now, if I can't reach you via the floor, I'll do it this way. All I have to do is keep swinging back and forth, till I build up enough momentum. And then... I wouldn't have believed it. Imagine how much more amazed she'd be if she knew a blind man was performing this feat. But now that you're here, how will you be able to open the cage? Don't want to use my cane's cotter pin again. Being so close to it this time, Karen might recognize it as Matt Murdock's walking stick. And so, the incredibly responsive muscles of Daredevil are again brought into play, bracing himself in order to get maximum leverage, feeling the exact pressure points of the bar with his sensitive touch. He exerts just the right amount of pressure, until... There! Enough space for you to squeeze through. When you're free, hold on to my shoulders and I'll swing us to the door. Then, silently but surely, the fearless adventurer leads the brave girl down a winding flight of steps, as he unerringly follows the odor of gasoline, which grows stronger with every step they take. The owl must have a garage somewhere nearby. You'll take a car and head for the police, while I wrap this little episode up. Minutes later. But what about you? What if the owl returns and finds you? Then he'll be the unhappiest little owl you ever did see. Now don't stop for anything until you reach the police. Hear? But you still haven't explained. The owl was a client of my boss, Matt Murdock. What did he want? How did you get involved? How do you know me? The last question is the easiest. I've seen you in my dreams since I can remember, Karen. Strange. When you say that, something in your voice reminds me of my second careless mistake. I forgot to muffle my voice. Hold it. I hear something. But because of concentrating so intently upon Karen Page, Daredevil's hearing sense was a second too slow. And you can't escape me! Once I pull this lever, the garage door will be sealed shut, and you'll be my prisoners again. Ignore him, Karen. Start driving. Moving faster, more unerringly than any normal-sighted man could, the dazzling Daredevil jams his ubiquitous billy club into the delicate spring mechanism, delaying its action just long enough for Karen's escape. I can hear the ball bearings meshing. All I need do is thrust my cane towards the sound of the master bearing. Like this. And now, Owl, it's just you against me. And that's the way I like it. You're a far more dangerous foe than I suspected, Daredevil. But I'm still your master. I'm heavier, more powerful, more cunning. And remember, we're fighting on my home grounds. I've planned too long, too carefully. I've too much at stake to let you stop me now. I've got a little something at stake too. My life. Although fighting a heavier, powerful, more desperate opponent, the years of training and bodybuilding, which Matt Murdock spent as a youth, pay off for him now. All I need do is shift my weight quickly, grab his free right arm, and bend forward suddenly from the waist. Whatever I do must be done quickly. There's no telling how soon the Owl's two henchmen will return with the gang leaders they were sent to bring back. But suddenly, the elusive Owl wrenches free of Daredevil's grasp and races frantically through the gloomy halls. Now the odds are all in my favor. You'll never catch me here in the dark. He doesn't suspect that there is no darkness to me. My brain is filled with sounds and aromas that guide me like beacons. It's almost over now. I can hear his heart pounding from exertion. He can't run much further. His weight has tired him out. He's almost exhausted. But reaching the top of the stairs, the Owl's hand suddenly darts out, touching a concealed lever. Ha! You didn't expect those steps to flatten into icy smoothness beneath your feet, did you? Happy landings, you fool. Can't keep my footing. I'm plunging back. There's a slight draft beneath me. A trap door has been opened. And then... water. He's caused me to drop right down into the river. I've got to surface quickly. The water deadens my hearing sense. I've eluded him for now, but I can take no further chances. He's far stronger than I thought. I've got to build a new aviary, with new defenses. I've a fortune hidden away. I can still accomplish anything. And then, the hulking, owlish figure hears the distant wail of screaming sirens, coming ever closer. The police! They're surrounding my aviary! But they'll never find me. So long as I remain the Owl, I always have one last means of escape left to me. I've planned perfectly, thought of everything. My fully fueled power launch is docked below, ready for just such an emergency. Had any eyes been able to pierce the gloom of night, they would have seen the awesome sight of a gross human figure gliding through the air like a nocturnal beast of prey, like a marauding owl. How easy it is for me. But a scant 2 seconds later, the dramatic head of Daredevil breaks the surface, hearing the speedboat's motor and estimating its speed and direction in the space of a single heartbeat. It's the Owl, trying to escape. Moving with the speed of thought, The sightless man ducks beneath the surface, and, as the speeding craft passes over him, I use my cane to jam his propeller. Now! The motor sputters, dies, and then there is silence. I can detect no heartbeat, no sound of breathing, but the owl might be swimming under the surface. Water acts as a muffler to my senses. I'll never be able to find him now. Frustrated at not knowing whether his foe is alive or dead, the weary adventurer stealthily climbs onto the nearby dock, reassured by the knowledge that the owl's plan has been completely shattered. I'd better change back to Matt Murdock while I can. I'll tell Karen that I came here because the owl sent for me, to discuss some legal matters. And so, a few minutes later. Oh, Matt, you're lucky that you didn't get here earlier. You've no idea what a dangerous creature the owl is. Better take him back to the city, ma'am. If those racket bosses are on their way here, this'll be no place for a blind man. Thank you, officer. I suppose it is needlessly dangerous for me to remain here. But I won't miss the excitement anyway. I can hear the mobsters' cars approaching the aviary now. In fact, they sound as though they're just riding through the gate, past the plainclothesmen who are stationed on either side. Judging by the amount of pulse beats I hear, the police got them all, including Ape and Silent Sam. It's the biggest haul since Appalachian. They're taking all the mobsters back to town in paddy wagons, Mr. Murdock. And with the owl vanished, it seems you've lost a client. From what I've heard of him, Karen, it's not much of a loss. I'm not really cut out for all this cops and robbers stuff. It's odd. Even though you say that, you remind me somehow of another man. A man who is so totally different. Oh. Well, I guess we'd better be getting home now. And after reaching the city, as Matt slowly walks away, I must be falling in love with him. Why else would such a shy, quiet, handicapped man remind me of all people, the man called Daredevil? The end.